some comfy music for catching up on news. Yes. There's like a million things. Shroud of the Lightless. Replica Shroud of the Lightless has 6 abyssal sockets. What? In like old PoE, this would be like completely crazy. But since the nerf and now with PoE where you can get so many influence modifiers and all this crazy shit, I don't know. This would be really cool if it was on something that isn't an item that you can never get, pretty much. It's shit? It's definitely not shit. It's definitely not shit. First of all, it's a carnal armor, which is really nice. And second, abyssal jewels are pretty impactful on a lot of different builds. They're pretty big on fucking summoners. You know, you still get a ton of life. You still get a ton of mana. You can get resistances. You can even get the all-out damage stuff if you're playing wonders or something like that. It's a ton of stats that you can get on it if you put in the time and the effort to actually make it into, you know, like a good item through those jewels. It's just that nowadays chess pieces end up being pretty build defining. I mean, it's always been the case, but now especially they're pretty build defining, and playing without like explodey chest or you know, some sort of influence in general is kinda tricky. But yeah, I can see summoners definitely being pretty freaking happy about this in particular. There's probably like some elemental builds that you can get head pieces on. Maybe some dot builds can actually work out with this pretty good too. Oh, was this always 25? I didn't even look at this one. That's the only thing, right? I think that's different, that this is 25. Was 20, yeah. Okay, it's 5% pen. I'm cool with it. I don't think anything else changed, right? I like this. I think it's a cool item. It's a lot of effort and yeah, but that's just kind of the nature of PoE. I think this item would be way cooler in Harvest though than going forward. But then maybe that makes builds more interesting. What's this? Eagle Crack? Oscillating Scepter. Elemental Overload? Implicit? What? The fuck is this? That's insane. Why is it on a scepter? That's way too strong. I don't understand. Why would they do this? This is so strong. That's really powerful. What builds would this be the biggest on? I mean, there's so many, honestly. I mean, well, the biggest thing for this would be for bow builds, actually. But it's a scepter, so that doesn't work. I'm just surprised that they put it on a scepter and not on a wand. Scepters are already so much more powerful than wands. Unless you're forced into one through like playing a summoner or something like that. I mean, for dot builds, it's kind of a big deal. For called dot specifically. Depending on what they do with Trickster and what they do with Glancing Blows, which I'm assuming they're going to do something. Like in general, around the Templar area, I'm expecting to receive some nerfs at least. If it doesn't, then this isn't as strong, but if it does, then it's like Omega powerful. For leveling, it'll definitely help caster ranger stuff and all that, and pathfinders, right? That'll be a big deal. For Shadow, it's going to be really nice because Shadow picks up elemental overload super late, and a lot of builds tend to crash based off of it. But like, the leveling process is so quick, like who realistically cares about it? For the majority of builds out there that would be picking up elemental overload, it's 2 points. Which is already a big deal, right? Because you're basically choosing between this and like 6% pen or 40% increased damage, which 2 points is always worth it no matter what. So if you have access to a good base of this and you're playing an EO build, you will use this. Like that's it. That's what it boils down to. It's just I'm thinking how far you can take it in terms of real builds. Azov's Blood builds. Azov's Blood builds on the budget version, right? When you don't have Azov's Blood, they have to pick up Avatar of Fire, but then later on, once you have the Azov's Blood, you don't have to do any of that. And then you're kind of hard stuck because you have to travel through Templar, which isn't that efficient, and then you have to travel to Elemental Overload because it's just that strong. So you're basically saving the points for Avatar of Fire. You're not going to have to do that anymore if you can use a Scepter for something like that. I think it would have been a better item on a wand, because on a wand it's like, yeah, I'm saving 2 points potentially, or like I'm saving 1 point, I guess, from an efficiency point of view. But then at least it forces me into using a wand, so it's not as obvious to use it. I think it would have made it a lot weaker, but a lot more interesting in that way. Definitely very strong. It's cool. I'm surprised that they would do something like this. And I mean, if they're doing it with Elemental Overload, I wonder what else they're willing to do as well. If they would do it with Eldritch Battery, that would be huge. Imagine them doing it with Mind Over Matter. Right side Mind Over Matter builds that don't need the cloak. That would be crazy. Like Mana Flask scaling and shit like that. Spectral Shield Throw, and they actually added the alternative balti thing. I saw a petition for that. It's good that they did it. Plus 20 to critical strike multiplier per 100 maximum energy shield on shield. I can see it being a big deal. Because if you remember those Spectral Shield Throw builds that were conversion based, you couldn't really scale crit back then, but you could now. And if you don't have to go to Elemental Overload, that makes it a lot better. And Assassin also is not shit right now. So before you would do this with Deadeye and scale for Chain, but now you can just do Assassin, and then you don't have to travel to Elemental Overload, which justifies the points by going through here. I think this might just be the thing that would push it over the edge. I think the alternative quality is not quite enough, but the Elemental Overload on the mace is actually a big deal. So if we have like maybe 1 or 2 other changes, it would be huge, you know? This by itself, not enough, but paired up with other things, kind of a big deal. Summon skeletons. 100% chance to summon a skeleton archer instead of a skeleton warrior. Oh no. Are we all gonna get baited into a bad build? I mean, that looks sick, but alright, what do we have here? Plaguebearer. You have 10% increased movement speed while infecting. Whoa. Poggies. That's pretty cool. The regular one is AoE, right? I mean, that's nice. I like the way Plaguebearer feels. Shrapnel Ballista. Chains +1 times? Oh my god. Is Shrapnel Ballista gonna be like a real gem now? I don't think so. Maybe? It's kind of cool. I don't know. It has like some potential, but then it's a totem, so it's kind of weird. But now we've got the alternate thing and this, and maybe, you know? 2 chains at 20? Oh! I mean, it does do a lot of damage. It just didn't have clear, so maybe now you're gonna be able to do something with it? Maybe? Maybe? Build a totem. We'll see. Just make totems stun immune would be nice. What do we have here? Kinetic Bolt. Increases and reductions to cast speed apply to attack speed at 65% of their value. I don't really know what a kinetic bolt skill tree looks like right now. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I'm sure that it's impactful. I just don't know to what degree. 115 at 23 quality. I wish I was more useful. I don't even know how these trees look like or how strong it is. I haven't seen anything and I haven't done it myself. Right, says only play Archmage builds? Excuse you. I might be on the Archmage train right now, but I've played a different build a couple of years ago, you know? If this was literally any other gem, I would go, whoa, that's fucking crazy. This is gonna be insane, Pog. But I just don't know anything about Kinetic Bolt. Herald of Purity. Minions have 8% chance to taunt on hit, so it's 10% chance to taunt on hit. It's cool. I like it. Yep. Infernal Blow. Explosion has 9% chance to apply uncharged debuff on hit. 20% chance to apply uncharged debuff. Wait, uncharged? Wait, so it's for chaining? Is that the point? That it has a 20% chance to apply another one? So it can prolif? Yeah, that's what I'm getting out of this. It's gonna be pretty inconsistent, but the more you juice your maps, the more interesting it can be. Could result in pretty good clear speed if just a single explosion kills everything, which it should. And I mean, there's usually more than 5 mobs in a pack, so as long as it hits everything, on average, you're gonna be killing that pack and it chaining to the next pack. Could be cool. Could be cool. Interesting. I mean, no matter what, it's good, right? Like, it's always better to have this than not to have it. Shock Nova. Shock Nova's cool. Ring has 40% chance to shock. Ring shocks as if dealing 100% more damage. Ah. It's still Shock Nova, but that's kind of strong. I'm cool with that. I can get behind it. Has the potential to be strong. I mean, the thing is, you can scale anything with anything now, so... yeah, maybe you would do enough to shock stuff. I remember we talked about it on Bay Class, but that just seems like such a bizarre concept to me. You add 900 fucking gems to the video game, and then you can only drop it from this one hyper-specific thing every 12 maps. Granted, they do have like multiple wings, and you do choose from multiple, but it seems just limiting for no reason. Reeve! 100% of physical damage converted to a random element? It's dog shit. That's like Wild Strike, but just bad. I like Reeve. I just can't see this alternate thing making a whole lot of sense for it right now. I think you can blast with Reeve, but justifying using it with the limited single target that you get is kind of an odd thing. If there is a skill that does a lot of damage, but it doesn't have a lot of AoE, you just put Explodey Chest on it, and that's it. Every build clears the exact same fucking way, so it all boils down to how much single target you can pull off. But that's not necessarily going to be the case 100% of the time in next league, so that makes it a little bit fairer, but it's not like it won't be accessible. You can still get an Explodey Chest without Harvest. It's just Harvest made it a lot easier. And on Trade League, I mean, it's just not difficult at all. We're gonna have to wait and see. That's the thing about a lot of these changes, that it's kind of difficult to judge them considering how much more goes into a change, right? It's like that special shield throw change. It's like, yeah, they're changing one thing that isn't that big of a deal, but then they change another and another and another, and suddenly it stacks up, and we've got a Winter Orb situation where it's the best skill in the game. Again, this doesn't look particularly convincing as of right now, unless the elemental pen memes are a real thing, and it's like one out of a couple things that could potentially enable this, but... Reckoning! 7% quality gives you 14% chance to debilitate enemies for 1 second on hit. Enemies that are debilitated have 20% less movement speed and deal 10% less damage. That's fucking huge. Yeah, that's big. Actually a big deal. Strong. And already some builds were using Reckoning for proccing things, and even there were damage dealing Reckoning builds out there, so... Yep. Tukohama's Fortress. Mortal Conviction. I think it's the same as it was. What does the replica do? You can cast an additional brand instead of totem. And then 20% increased critical strike chance per brand. 40% increased brand damage. That's dog shit. I don't even know what crossed their mind.